very excited that you're here with me today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Venice, your host, and here at Your Entrepreneur Resources, we discover the no fluff action steps to help you avoid all the overwhelm and all the BS out there, connecting you with the right mentors, resources, and tools, helping you every step of the way on your entrepreneurial journey. We go live here twice a week, interviewing different entrepreneurs and experts on all areas of business. So make sure to join our Facebook group and look out for the events inside your Entrepreneur Resources page. You can find all the links in the description box. Today, I have a very special guest with me. It's Clarissa. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So, Clarissa is an accountant for online business owners. As a former government tax auditor, she knows exactly how to help you set up your business so that it is meant to succeed financially. So, in this interview, we're going to look at what holds entrepreneurs back from getting the money stuff set up correctly and how having the money stuff set up correctly can actually lead to more success in your business. I'm super excited about this. But before we dive in, I would love to for you to share more about your business and your journey with us.
Thank you. I am really happy to be here. So, I originally started my business way back in 2014, but I didn't start it as an accountant. Yes, I was an accountant at the time, but I didn't start it as an accountant because I thought I needed to get out of the accounting industry. I started doing energy work and money mindset coaching. I did love doing both of them, but no matter what, I kept getting called back to bookkeeping and accounting because I would have people come in and they're like, I need your help on this, I need your help on that. And it was always something accounting related. And being a government auditor, of course, I know like some of the backdoor stuff. And then finally in 2019, I had a really bad experience with one of the clients that I was auditing while I was in another state. So it's not even like I could go home and talk to anyone. I was in another state. I had to go to a hotel after work every day for 2 weeks. And it was just a really bad experience. And from that point on, I really hated my job as a government auditor. And then not too long after that, I had to do some audits where I didn't agree with what they were doing. I didn't believe the business owners should have been treated the way that they were, and I didn't have a choice because I was just the auditor. And that is when I really decided to take what I have learned in my business and as a government auditor and do that in my business to help business owners make sure that all the money stuff is actually set up correctly. And it's just grown from there because I love doing what I do. I mean, I have 3 degrees in accounting, so you can kind of tell I like accounting stuff. And then just making sure that that stuff's set up in your business because it's not easy when you don't know this stuff is one of my passions. I absolutely love working on this stuff, whether I set it up for you or I walk you through how to do it.
So is that what you're doing right now? Mainly, like done for you and done with you services?
Yes,
hmm
as well
That's
as
awesome.
courses that I have.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk more about that in a bit. But I love that you kind of wanted to get out of it, but then like your true calling is like, no, 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 this is where you're supposed to be. I think when it comes to finances and all the money stuff, a lot of the time people get so confused and just like, oh my gosh, like it's the boring stuff. It's not the sexy things like Instagram and TikTok and all these different like specials like social platforms. So why do you think people, first of all, like should focus on their finances and focus on, handling all the money stuff, especially in the beginning of their journey?
For two reasons. One, if you don't have the money stuff set up correctly, your business is very likely to fail because you're not managing your money. Managing your money is one of the most important things. Some people think that when you're managing your money, it just means tracking how much money's coming in and looking at the bank account to see if there's money there to be able to pay the bills that you have. That is not managing your money. Managing your money is actually knowing both what's coming in and what's going out, and being able to know that you have more than enough money without even having to look at your bank account to cover everything, plus have money left over for other things that may pop up, as well as saving for taxes. And the second reason is because as a government auditor, like, if you don't know this stuff, you get audited. There are no second chances, there are no warnings. You're doing something wrong, you automatically owe fines and more taxes just because you are doing it wrong.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. So, what kind of mistakes do you think people face when it comes to, like dealing with their own finances and all the money, like all the different things? Like, what are the biggest mistakes you see entrepreneurs make?
The number one mistake is using your bank account as a gauge for whether you have money or not, whether you have to hustle to get more money just to cover that expense, or you open your bank account and you're like, oh, I have a bill coming, and yes, I have just enough to cover that, but you don't have enough money saved for taxes, you don't have enough money to pay yourself, you don't have enough money to pay the expense that's coming next week. So, like, you're always in hustle mode and you're just going off of what is in your bank account instead of trying to keep money in your bank account and manage all of it at once. And the second mistake is not keeping copies of everything. Everyone
I feel
hates
like
that.
this is a big one.
Yeah, they hate that you have to keep so much paperwork. But here's a hint: it doesn't have to be paper. You can keep it electronically. Create a system where you keep it all electronically. I teach my system in all of my courses because it's very quick and easy. It's just literally create a folder for all of your expenses, create a new folder inside there for each year. And then inside each year's folder, have one for income, one for expenses, and one for anything else that happens financially in your business. And just put everything in that folder so it's always there. And make sure you save copies of your bank statements because the banks do purge them. Whether you think they do or not, they're purging them. And if you need to go back 18 months and get bank statements from 18 months ago, most of the time you're not going to be able to get them. Yes, it shows on your account that they're there, but the banks have purged them and you have to pay to get copies because they take up a lot of space. So they're starting to purge them now.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. So that's such a great point. I'm wondering, just out of curiosity, when you say expenses, does your own income, like, is that part of the expenses?
I personally like to keep a copy of every single receipt that comes in when someone buys from me because my system is set up
Mm-hmm.
so that every time someone buys, whether it's um, coaching or bookkeeping or one of my courses, I get a receipt in my email, usually three or four receipts of the same thing because of the way that my systems are set up. Because I get a Stripe one or a PayPal one, I get one from Kartra, I get one from Zero. So, like, I get multiple of the same, but I keep all of them just because I like to be able to track that myself. It's not
Hmm.
required to keep the income ones because you can easily go into Stripe, PayPal, um, Kartra, Kajabi, whatever, and be able to pull your total income. Excuse me.
Hmm.
I just
And
personally like to keep them.
hmm And would you say, like, for someone that's starting brand new right now, like, of course, everyone needs to take out some money, right? It's like they have to pay themselves. So, would you recommend people start paying themselves on a monthly basis from the beginning? I know this is such a hard question. It depends on the entrepreneur, it depends on the business. But then, like, to make things systemize everything, do you recommend people should, like, be like, okay, so, like, every month I'm going to pay myself, start off with just $500. Like, is that what you would recommend?
So honestly, it depends on entrepreneur to entrepreneur. Like, I can give you in my course the basics. I do have a bonus module on payroll. And I recommend how you should split it out, but I only have percentages for splitting it out because you have to figure out what your payroll should be. But here's the thing, if it's your first or second month in business, first few months in business, and you only have $500 of income in your business, you can't really issue yourself a $500 paycheck for the month because you should have business expenses as well. Even if you are keeping your expenses as low as possible, you still have business expenses so that you don't have $500 available to you. So I always say to figure out what you need to pay yourself, and then you can go from there. So that helps you figure out how much um, you actually need to bring in your business to cover your pay and to cover the expenses in the business. Those are your two minimums that you have to know at all times. And
Mm-hmm,
then
mm-hmm.
after those two are paid, then you can split other things other ways and make sure you're saving for taxes and having savings in your business savings account type of thing. And you can pay yourself extra if you need to, if there is extra on top of that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, amazing. I love that. So, what other mistakes do you see? I'm like coming back to the mistakes because I know that I make some of them. So, what other mistakes do you see entrepreneurs make when it comes to, their finances?
Okay, so another big one, and this is actually more so from my auditing days. I don't have so many of the clients that I work with now that have this problem, at least not yet. Um, you're not following the tax laws and regulations based on where you are. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world, there are still tax
Mm-hmm.
laws and regulations. It varies by country, it even varies by state. Even if you're in different states and different countries, it still varies by those. But it's your responsibility as a business owner to know which ones affect your business and which ones don't. It is not the government's responsibility to say, oh, you owe tax on this stuff, you owe tax on this stuff, and we updated this tax law. So here you go. I'm telling you, we updated it. It's not the government's responsibility to figure that, to send you that information. It's your responsibility as a business owner to be able to know which ones actually affect you and when changes come. So, whether you get those changes from an accountant that you're working with, or someone that you follow, or you do the research yourself, it's very important that you make sure you know which ones actually affect your business and which ones don't.
Hmm. And I feel like things do change quite a lot. And, depending on where you are in your business, there are different, like categories. I mean, it depends on the state, depends on the country, but there are different things you need to pay attention to. And it's important to keep yourself up to date, right? You should be constantly learning, like constantly figuring out, like keep yourself up to date and knowing all the changes because you don't want to get into trouble.
It's not fun when you get into trouble. Like, I don't know how many times I've had clients when I would walk in to audit them and they would just stand there and yell at me, like, because an audit is not fun. Like, I'm just being yelled at, but then my personality and being able to work with you, almost every single client that I audited was like, I like working with you. So I've had multiple job offers from people that I've audited. I'm not allowed to accept those anyway. But I've had job offers because they love the way that I work. They love the way that I communicate with them. And I've had people say, can you audit me again? Like, as much as you hate being audited and then you ask to be audited again because you like the way the auditor worked. So,
Hmm. I think it also comes down to, like take a painful experience, but add something, it's like silver lining. It's like, oh, like I might not like it, but I love working with this girl, so let's make it happen. So I love
exactly.
that. Hmm. Any other mistakes that we should be aware of?
The other, like, this goes along with using your bank account as a gauge, is to actually do your bookkeeping and bank reconciliations. Um, when you're not doing that on a regular basis, and when I say regular, at least monthly, you need to know your numbers on a monthly basis, then you don't know what's really going on in your business. Because I had this one client who made $500,000 a year. She spent $500,000 a year.
Oh my gosh.
And this is in her business, like a small business, just like us. She spent all of it because she wasn't paying attention to the numbers. She was hustling all of the time to be able to pay the bills. She had $28,000 in team member expenses. And she didn't know she had $28,000 in team member expenses until she got to a month where she wasn't making enough money at all. And she had to figure out how to come up with money to pay everyone. Instead, she just got rid of her almost entire team because she had no way of coming up with $28,000 just to pay the
Oh
team.
wow.
She had her own
Mm.
personal expenses too to be able to cover it. Like, even though I was doing her bookkeeping, she wasn't looking at it. She told me probably 9 months into us working together, because I send a monthly report every month. I don't ever read your emails.
Oh no.
So,
I feel like that's the issue when it comes to especially solopreneurs. You're so busy. Like even like I'm completely guilty of this. Even when my VA messages me, it's like, hey, you need to reply to this. I'm like, okay, I'll get to it. And I'll forget it about it. And then she have to keep nudging me. Same with like emails. I feel like it's so common. And that's such a big issue because your finances, your bookkeeping, everything, like you need to really pay attention because you don't want to wake up one day and be like, hold on a second, where's all my money? Right?
yes, exactly. I do agree that as entrepreneurs, yes, we are super busy. For me personally, I prefer almost everything to go through my email, because I have a system where when it goes through my email, I leave it in my inbox until I've dealt with it. Once I've dealt with it, then I will sort it to another folder so that I know what's directly in my inbox I need to deal with. If I get stuff on Messenger, I get stuff on somewhere else. If I open it and I don't respond, most of the time it's not going to get a response because I completely forget about it, because I can't like yeah, you can go back and mark it as unread so that you have to go back to it, but it's not as easy as I have it with my email inbox to be able to go back to it.
Mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm.
when it comes to your numbers, you have to make that a priority to be able to spend. You only have to spend 5 to 10 minutes looking at that monthly report. And something I do with my clients now is I will actually record my own screen share video going over what I see happening in your business in the month. That goes a long way too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm, absolutely. Like, so now talking about systems, I'm actually very curious. Do you have any tools, any software that you recommend people use when it comes to dealing with their finances and doing their bookkeeping?
I actually recommend Zero. I have recently switched myself personally from QuickBooks to Zero. I am Zero certified. I'm almost QuickBooks certified. But I love Zero so much more than QuickBooks. I feel like Zero is more intuitive. Now, if you're not an accountant, you don't understand the systems, then you're going to say that both are super confusing. I still
That's
say
me.
to I still say to stay away from Wave because it's free. Because when you have a free bookkeeping system and it's pulling in your bank information, there are easy ways that people can get backdoor into this information because it's
Mhm.
free. You're not paying for them to update the system. Whereas QuickBooks Zero, you pay for it, so the system is updated on a regular basis, and it's more encrypted. I believe Wave is encrypted, but I still say to stay away from it because it's free. I still say to stay away from FreshBooks as well. their system isn't as good as QuickBooks and Xero. And if
Mm-hmm.
you really don't want to have a monthly fee and invest in a bookkeeping system, I have a bookkeeping toolkit where I created my own bookkeeping spreadsheet. So, yes, created by an accountant. And that's what I say when you're using a spreadsheet, to find one that's created by an accountant so that you have the most important information on there. Then you that spreadsheet is in there and you get access to it. I do update it for each year. So right now, 2020 is actually still in there. There's a 2020 spreadsheet and the 2021 spreadsheet in there. I've also
Mm-hmm.
updated that spreadsheet so that you can have two different currencies. And that's another thing I love about Xero is they have software where you can integrate multiple different currencies in one bookkeeping software. QuickBooks doesn't have that.
Mm-hmm. And that's very important because I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs these days, you have clients all over the world, right? Like you've got people paying in pounds and dollars and all these different currencies, and it would help to have different currencies available for you. So that's definitely a good thing to have.
Well, one of the biggest things that I've actually found is people in other countries are charging in US dollars. So, but they're charging in US dollars, but when they actually receive it in their account, it is showing in whatever theirs is. So whether it's Australian dollars, Canadian dollars, the pounds, the euro, what have you, like when you have the software, like it can deal with those different things. But
Absolutely.
it's it's confusing because I've had a client before who was in Canada and she used Canadian dollar and the US dollar, and
hmm
it's work, but
Yeah, I'm sure. So I know there's so many softwares and people are probably like, I'm so confused right now. Do you think that entrepreneurs should start out dealing with all their finances themselves, or do you think, from the get-go, they should just outsource it?
honestly, it depends. It depends on where you are. So if you can't outsource it at all, like you don't have the extra funds to be able to outsource it and know that things are being done correctly, then you want to be able to take a course to be able to teach you to be able to do it correctly yourself. I am also of the belief that everything you outsource, you should at least know the basics of how to do it anyway. So whether you want to spend the time doing your bookkeeping or you just want to outsource it all, you should still know the basics of how to do it before you do outsource it. That's just my personal belief. I know there's other people that believe I don't want to do it, outsource it. So,
I agree. I think a lot of the time, like, of course, I outsource a lot of the work, but I know what's being done, right? Like, if I have no clue at all, if I'm like, okay, so make this like chemical solution for me, but I have no idea what it is, and maybe there are explosions happening in the background. I'm like, what? What's going on? So I think it's good to at least have an idea of how it works. So when problems or things like, things are going to happen, things are going to go wrong, at least you know how to kind of take over and handle it, right? And that comes to also like figuring out who to hire because, like if you have no idea, then someone could be like pardon my language, but just like bullshitting you, and you'll be
yeah.
like, okay, like that makes sense, I guess. What do you think is important when it comes to hiring someone, like outsourcing? What to look for in the person that you hire for your finances?
Okay, so when you're hiring people for your finances, there are bookkeepers and there are accountants and there are financial advisors. I know nothing about financial advice, so like the financial advisor part with like retirement, that type of stuff, you have to outsource to someone outside of me for that. And I do tell my clients that. I can look information up, but it's not my wheelhouse. So a lot of people will like to hire a bookkeeper and they're hiring the cheapest person they can find. I get served a lot of Facebook ads saying that bookkeeping is the best work from home option. even if you don't have a degree, you know nothing about it. Okay, so if you know nothing about bookkeeping, you should not be doing it. That's one of my personal beliefs, like, because you can screw it up. I've had clients come to me where I've had to clean up their books because someone else has done it, and it's a mess. It's basically like I just need to start over kind of thing. Um, so if you find someone who doesn't know what they're doing, I have blog posts on my website to for questions you should be asking when you're hiring a bookkeeper. So that's something you'll definitely want to check out for those questions, um, because that'll definitely help you know what you should be doing. Because and the other thing is, get on the phone with them, get on a video call with them, make sure that you guys can vibe together, going back and forth like this. If you cannot stand to talk to this person, then your energies are going to be off and there's not going to be any point in you guys working together because you're basically just going to clash heads. And then when it
I
comes
feel
to
like, yeah.
accountant,
Sorry,
what was
yeah.
that?
No, I just said, yeah, I agree.
And when it comes to an accountant, technically, yes, you should have bookkeeping and accounting separate. I do bookkeeping for a lot of my clients and I give them accounting advice, but I don't do tax returns. They have to go to someone else for a tax return. So there is that part. Because normally an accountant will only do your tax returns. You're responsible for getting all of the stuff to them. So if you don't have your bookkeeping done during the year and you just hand all of that to your accountant that's preparing your tax return, expect a huge bill from that accountant to be able to get all of your bookkeeping up to date. Whereas if you do your bookkeeping throughout the year and just hand them your income statement to be able to file your tax return, it's a quick and easy thing for them to do, and your bill is a lot cheaper. So
Mhm.
there's all that.
Yeah, I love the difference between bookkeeping and accountant. I didn't really think about it before, but now you made it so clear. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I do want everyone to go and grab your bookkeeping toolkit. I think this is, I mean, it's free, first of all, and it
No,
sounds
the
like,
toolkit's not free. The
oh, the
free
toolkit's not free.
No, the
Okay.
toolkit isn't free. I have
Okay.
a 5-day boot camp, which is
hmm
free, which helps you get the money stuff set up.
hmm
That
Yeah,
one's
tell us
super
a little bit
pricey.
more about it. Yeah.
The toolkit's only $37. So it's still not expensive to get the
hmm
toolkit.
hmm Which is probably, like way cheaper than getting a software and having to pay for it, like, continuously every single month, right? Awesome. So yeah, tell us a little bit more about the boot camp before I let you go.
Okay, so the boot camp is a 5-day email series. You get 5 different emails over 5 days, walking you through the most important parts of your business finances that need to be set up. So, um, bank accounts, your bookkeeping stuff, getting that stuff actually set up. I didn't look up what all the 5 days are off the top of my head before we jumped on here. So, those are the only two that I know off the top of my head.
No, but
Um,
that's great
but
already. Like I'm excited to share it with everybody, and I hope everyone will get it in the description box down below.
yes, for sure. Because it's
hmm
like I said, it's a 5-day free boot camp, like just going through and setting up everything to make sure your business finances are set up. Because, like I said, as a government auditor, I know what you should be doing to help protect your business from an audit, whether you do get audited or you are protecting yourself from an audit.
hmm For sure. Thank you. And where can people connect with you more if they want to find out more about you or like, check out your services?
So you can go to the easy way is going to nerdynumberlovers.com. Since there's no double letters in that one, it's easy to go to nerdynumberlovers.com. It'll redirect you to my main website, which is clarissawilson.com. But
hmm
Nerdy Number Lovers is easier to remember. And on Instagram at clarissawilson.com.
hmm I'll put all the links and all the like handles and everything in the description box. So for anyone that's interested in finding out more, definitely hit Clarissa up. She's amazing. Thank you again so much for being on your Entrepreneur Resources show. You gave such actionable tips and strategies. And honestly, I'm like, okay, now I understand accounting. It's not so scary anymore. It's not sexy, but it is so, so, so important.
But the thing
For
is,
entrepreneur.
when you know your numbers and you actually pay attention to them, it can actually get sexy.
No, I'm sure. Like, I'm sure. So we need to kind of go through the first hurdle and just be like, okay, get comfortable, and then let's get to the sexy parts.
Exactly.
Yeah, so for entrepreneurs that's listening, in case you want to get a summary of the interview, make sure to check out our show notes, which I'll put in the description box. We've got our live interviews with experts here twice a week, so make sure to stay tuned and join our community on Facebook. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you everyone for tuning in. I'll chat with you very soon, and have a